My name is Dr. Sandra Bowe, and I'm here today with Dr. Marvin Anderson, who is a medical doctor with a special interest in autism and has a clinic in Michigan where he sees children with autism and ADHD. And today we're going to talk about the therapies that we can use to really improve the symptoms of autism and sometimes even reverse them to a very significant degree and to arrest that process of deterioration. So, Marvin, what are the most important things when it comes to treating a child with autism?
Well, we already talked, Dr. Cabot, about the GI tract,
Yes.
And the importance of supporting that in the gut-brain connection. But that brings into the realm, sometimes there's infections in the GI tract,
Yes.
and they have to be addressed. Now, there are ways to looking at the stool, sending it to a laboratory, and they will do sensitivities, or they will do the DNA analysis, and they will give us a prescription or a recommendation of what we can use.
Yes.
Sometimes we can do it with herbs. Sometimes you can do it with things like grapefruit seed extract, olive leaf extract.
Yes.
And other times we do need to get into prescription drugs for a short term, realizing that every time we do that, we upset the balance in the GI tract and have to go and start from square one.
That's true.
And that also happens when we remove metals. If we sometimes get into chelation, the metals dump into the GI tract, they upset the immune balance in the GI tract, the dysbiotic, the candida, and all these organisms flare. We have to go back and start at ground zero and rebuild the... So when we get these organisms in the GI tract, and also get foreign substances that are inflammatory, including things like gluten and casein, we set up this inflammation.
Yes.
And the inflammation, does also involve the brain too, because the GI tract and the brain come from the same embryologic origin.
So you would recommend a gluten-free diet for a child with autism?
Everybody goes on that. Most of the time they benefit from them. It's one of the first things we do.
Yes. And a child with autism definitely needs a lot more omega-3 fats because the brain is largely made of omega-3. Now, how are you going to get a child with autism who's hard to communicate with to take the supplements that they need? What's a good form?
Well, sometimes we can mask them. And we can put them, there are things that we can use. We don't like to use chocolate syrup, but sometimes we have to put it in chocolate syrup. Grape jelly is very strong flavor, and sometimes you can hide things in there. But the omega acids, for example, are available as a little fishy or a little gummy.
Yes.
From good companies like Nordic Naturals. Yes. And those, I think, I would recommend.
Yes.
To get in.
That's right. If the child won't eat oily fish, definitely the gummies that are enriched with fish oil and other sources of omega-3 are excellent. And what about calming nutrients? Because a lot of children with autism are hyperactive. So how do we calm a child with autism?
Well, magnesium is extremely important.
Yes.
Magnesium is extremely important. It certainly has to be a favorite. And following on the heels of that, there are things. Glycine seems to work. I have not had as much good results with GABA as I had with glycine.
Right.
But magnesium would be at the top. But melatonin is important, you know. Melatonin is an important calming agent.
Yes, and it helps them sleep.
Oh, absolutely. And it's also a very good antioxidant.
Yes.
So melatonin, those are the things that I would think about in terms of calming. Now, the other thing is that, this inflammation, we have to counter the inflammation. And here come the omega oils again.
Yes.
With the importance of calming inflammation. Right. And then we have... also the herb curcumin or turmeric, especially in a highly absorbable form. And there are highly absorbable forms that are available on the market. Yes. And this is very important in putting out the fire of the brain. We have a fire truck. We walk around carrying a fire truck, a little model fire truck, about the putting out the fire in the brain. Yes. So that would be also important.
And thank God that is possible. Through nutritional medicine. So we need the omega-3, we need magnesium, we need a good liver formula. The liver is so important, isn't it?
Liver formula. Now, I want to tell you, and I haven't been asked to do this, but I want to tell you that I would like to show you my liver formula, may I?
Yes.
This is what I take. and I take 2 of the Livitone Plus in the morning and 2 of the Livitones at night.
Yes.
And your staff here will tell you that I regularly call and I order this, and I make no qualms about the fact that this is what I use and this is what I recommend.
Yes.
Now, there are some other things that are really important that we probably should talk about. One of them is vitamin D.
Yes.
It's
Vital.
very strong for immune
Yes.
defense, and it should be measured. And even children that are in warm, sunny climates, can still have a low vitamin D level. And especially like in the States, if you come from the M states, Michigan, Maine, Minnesota, where there's very little sunlight, vitamin D is extremely important. Sometimes it needs to be supplemented.
Definitely.
So we measure a 25 hydroxy vitamin D level.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, we're also interested in iron. We measure a serum ferritin because iron is important in the immune response in the body. And it's frequently lacking.
Yes, it is, particularly because the children are often gluten intolerant, so they don't absorb minerals. I've had patients of all ages who remain persistently iron deficient until you take them off gluten.
I'm really glad you mentioned that point, because we've talked about the importance of avoiding gluten and celiac disease, but there are secondary nutritional deficiencies that occur when you have gluten intolerance and when you have celiac disease, and that could even be tested for, genetically.
Yes,
and I sort of recommend that in the family.
That's
so if you really want to reverse, for example, Dr. Cabot, the autoimmune disease that comes, part and parcel of celiac disease, you not only have to avoid the gluten, but you have to supply the nutrients that the intestinal inflammation prevents from being absorbed. Yes, and you have to supply those nutrients besides if you want to have a complete management.
That's true. So we can get wonderful results and wonderful improvement in children with autism. The sooner we start, the better. And, we need to use the omega-3, the antioxidants, support the liver function. We can calm the child with magnesium, melatonin, all these natural things, which will also help to reduce the inflammation in the brain as well as reduce the symptoms. And, I highly recommend people get in touch with you. You have a wonderful clinic in Michigan, and you're promoting research that will really help to prevent autism in the future by doing these tests. So how can people get in contact with you?
They can look at the website. It's called www.autism, AUTISM, Abba's Place, ABBAS place.com.
Yes, and I'm sure you get a lot of emails.
I'm sure you do too, and we know what that's about, don't we? Huh?
Well, it's not good for your social life, but hey, it's fun. It's interesting.
Yes, and it's fun working with you. And I'm indebted to you for the contributions that you've made, and also you're helping us get this important message out about screening these children and developing the specialists. And we should just mention that the therapies are important too. The applied behavioral analysis, the physical therapy, the speech therapy, the occupational therapy, in themselves probably are insufficient, just like our natural regimen is insufficient. You have to have a combination of them both.
That's very important, yes. And the earlier you start, the better. Yes.
That's right. And so, I'd like to just sort of wrap up here, if I could, by saying that if I had to say it as a result of what I have learned all these years in writing this book and my practice, that the liver is central in autism.
Yes.
Because no matter where the contaminants come from, if they come from the air, if they come from the water, if they come through our skin, if they come through our food, if they come in the medications, if they're in acetaminophen or paracetamol, wherever they come, they all end up in the liver.
True.
And the liver has to somehow or another manage them. Now, in this day and age, this detoxification system of the liver is easily overwhelmed.
Yes.
And if you will, the liver is a great filter, becomes plugged. Yes. And we have to do something to unplug it. Yes. Now, the way that we can do that is, first of all, to try to decrease our exposure to these contaminants, and then to remove them from the body. And the way we remove them is from a healthy diet, which includes lots of fresh fruits and vegetables, which includes juices, lots of water, the omega acids, liver-supporting herbs, especially the ones that you've developed in your products, I think are paramount And if we can do that, I think we can reverse the disease in the child and prevent it. Now, this is fatiguing, it's a bother, it's hard work, but I want to tell you, it's indispensable.
Yes, it is. And, you know, it actually makes your life easier because you'll see your child improving, and that's less stress for you. And then you can do it for yourself at the same time, do it for the whole family. And it sounds complex, but I think, Dr. Anderson, you make it practical and simple in your book, and you offer people help through your website. And, you know, basically it just becomes a way of life, looking after your liver. And children like juices, and you can freeze the juice. You can make a really nice juice with all the green vegetables, with carrot, put some citrus and pineapple in, and then you can freeze it. And the child thinks they've got an icy pop or an icicle. You know.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. So you have to be creative, right?
Oh, you have to be creative. You have to get that folic acid in there because it's so important, you know, for methylation.
Yes.
And methylation is important the way our genes are expressed.
That's
so
right.
It all goes down to nutrition, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And, you know, Hippocrates was right. Most diseases begin in the gut. And the liver, the master chemist of the body, the liver. And thank God that the brain is able to repair and renew itself. We used to think not, didn't we?
Right.
Yeah. But we now know that a tremendous amount of repair in our neurons is possible.
And it all starts in the GI tract and in the liver. And you know, the road to health, Dr. Cabot, is paved with good intestines.
That's true. Hey, we're not being original. Hippocrates said that. But the truth is the truth, and the truth will be forever. So it's been wonderful to talk to you, and don't forget to get Dr. Marvin Anderson's book on autism, how to prevent it and how to treat it, and visit his website one more time.
Autism at abbasplace.com.
And thank you for listening.